All right. So welcome, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy today is today. My thought for you is been really going a lot back to the practices or the ideas that yoga is a very internal practice, right? Because we get caught up sometimes in thinking about what it feels like or what it looks like as an outside practice. But remembering that it was only ever designed to be this process of exploration into your own self, right? Into who and what you really are. And to recognize that that means that part of the practice is realizing that you are always 100% of the time alone with you. Right? Even when you are surrounded by other people, as that can often be a distraction to the fact that you are alone with you, right? And that what we're really looking for is to cultivate this relationship with ourselves, where being alone with you is a place that you want to be, right? Maybe the place that you want to be the most is being alone with you, so that there's a sense of never trying to get away or trying to go to the external as a way to ignore or push aside or distract from what's happening inside. But instead, the inside becomes where we go to for refuge. The inside becomes where we go to reset, to reclaim, to re-understand, remember who we are. So that's the practice, right? Is that you are always forever alone with yourself. And if that thought doesn't appeal to you, well, that's why you're on your mat, right? Is to find the way to be alone with yourself and content with that, right? Happy with that, or at least welcoming that experience, not running from it. So comfortable seats, it's good to start to recognize what it feels like to go from that outside to the inside. So find your seat, what it feels like it is available to the joints, the muscles. And then as you let the eyes close, bring the attention inside, and inside in a way where you are really taking in the experience, whatever it happens to be. We're doing a lot of acknowledging of this is simply the way that it feels right now in my body and my mind, with no judgment. There's nothing to say beyond that. Is just to feel that this is what's here. And being alone with you means that you are close to, or that you are really letting yourself connect with that feeling. If I'm sitting with whatever is here, present. And just for a moment, letting yourself then bring into your mind a sort of mirror image of yourself. So it's like you're staring into a mirror, looking at your own image, your own self. And just flowing back to that image, bouncing it back and forth, what we call loving kindness, or what we call the metta, right? The experience of friendliness, or the extension of friendliness, that says you don't need to be perfect in order for me to love you. You don't need to be the way that I want you to be in order for you to deserve this feeling of connection, or this feeling of acceptance, or this feeling of love. So you just flow that back and forth, however it appears, is to be the best friend with that image that you see in the mirror. And you're only doing it for a moment, so don't get too much in your head where you're like, I'm not sure I want to do this, or I don't know if those feelings exist. Just do your best to extend a friendly hand to that image that is yours. As you extend it to that image, of course, it bounces back to you because it's a reflection of you. So as much as you let those feelings flow in that direction, is all it is again, it's a reflection of your own perception of who you think you are. Fill it with love, friendliness, or at least where you are not actively disliking. Sometimes that's good enough, neutral. And this is all we're doing, is to try to catch the thread of this feeling, this thread of friendliness, or this thread of acknowledging how we feel, and that there is nothing in how we feel that negates the wholeness that we are. And nothing negates the how much we deserve that feeling of friendliness, love, contentment. That's what we cling to, or that's what we keep moving through with our practices. Can I catch that thread and can I stay with it? So one more full breath, wherever that is, whatever that is. And as you exhale, let the breath go, bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. We'll open with the sound of Om. Take a deep inhale, breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands and then stay seated. Hands to the front of the knees or the thighs. Start to circle your torso. Just make nice big spirals, any direction you'd like. Keep the pelvis as still as you can. So as you're moving, you're rotating the spine around the base of the pelvis. Good. Just been feeling that there's a real importance in dropping some of the pressure in our practice for it to always feel good, because it doesn't, right? That's the reality of our existence, right? Is we don't always feel good, or we don't always feel the way that we want to feel, but within how we're feeling, right? There's the ability to acknowledge ourselves in a way that is whole, or a way that is really uplifting. And so we breathe through whatever we feel. Move your torso the other direction, please. But to remove that layer of somehow having to be always saying that my practice makes me feel good, or that there's a positivity that isn't always authentic or genuine. It's really nice to know that's okay. And that you don't have to strive for there to be something else, as you can really just sometimes be reaching for neutral, right? This whole practice is to be in a good relationship with myself. And sometimes that good relationship is just neutral. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Nice. Take your feet out in front of you. So bend your knees still, but take your feet out in front of you. Separate your feet as wide as your mat. Hands can stay just behind you. And then let your knees drop from side to side. So like windshield wipers, let the knees drop to the right and then to the left and to the right and to the left. Good. So again, just letting the pelvis sort of work itself into being awake, whatever you've been up to today. Good. Nice, you guys. And the next time your knees drop to the right, let them stay there. And then you're going to walk your torso around to the right as well. So walk yourself around until you are facing the back of your mat. Good. Come down onto your forearms facing the back of your mat. Good. Don't stack the knees unless you have to. So you keep that little bit of separation. So you're just coming down into a twist. So pressing into the forearms, keep your chest lifted if you can. You got it, Kelly. Just keep that hip on the floor. Perfect. So your chest is facing the floor. Your shoulders are facing the back of your mat on your forearms if you can. Just don't drop all the way onto your belly in this position. Good. And again, you're breathing into the back of the rib cage, breathing into the place where the spine is twisting. Nice. Really allowing there to be a staying with that experience of watching yourself as you practice, right? Being aware of your inner state as you practice. And every time there is that tendency towards judgment in a pose, or there's that tendency towards running away from what you feel, let's go back to that reflection. Remember that whatever you run through yourself consciously here is that you're sending it to that reflection. It's bouncing back to you. So don't send it a lot of dislike, because it's going to just reverberate inside, right? It gets bigger and bigger. Instead, maybe just look for that neutral space. It says, here we are. Take one more breath, letting yourself maybe twist just a little bit deeper, lifting that right rib cage a little higher and wider. Good. And then bring yourself all the way back up to center, back where you started. So facing the front of your mat, feet nice and wide, knees bent, and then drop the knees over to the left. And walk your torso around, same direction, so towards the left. until again, you come down onto your forearms facing the back of your mat. Good. Same thing, pressing into the forearms, breathing wide into the spaces where the ribs are twisting. Alone with yourself. And not with the self that you're afraid that you are. This is where, the practices of yoga come in, and they say that it helps to alter our perception, because if you start that, exercise with the image of your own face, is you are going to construct that image from your perceptions, everything you've ever been told about yourself, or anything that you really believe about yourself, positive, negative, all of it. So it's like a fun house mirror. It's not necessarily really how you look, but it's how you assume that you look. It's how you assume that the presence that you have, it's your assumptions. And it usually falls very much short of what's actually there. So we start to build that loving relationship with what we think is so imperfect and that maybe we want to throw away, or that maybe we want to get away from. We start to extend love to that. And our perception of ourselves through that feeling starts to shift over time, not always in the moment we want it to. Good. Take one more breath, lifting that left rib cage a little higher and wider. Nice. And then bringing yourself all the way back to where you started. Good. Bring the bottoms of the feet together. Let both knees drop open wide. Baddha Konasana. Good. And holding the ankles or the front of the shins, go ahead and bend your elbows wide as you let yourself come into your forward fold. So the elbows can either rest on top of the shins or can come in front of the shins, so that you have space for your chest to really move forward and the shoulders to relax away from the ears. Good. Press into the baby toe edges of your feet. Press down into your sit bones. So again, those 2 points anchor the opening for the legs. Good. Nice, you guys. One more breath. Actually pull on the ankles just a little bit more. So you bend your elbows wide and really take your chest open, open, open. So forward just a tiny bit more. Nice. And then come all the way back up, please. Beautiful. Cross the ankles, roll forward onto hands and knees. Find your way into downward facing dog. Spread your fingers wide, tuck the toes, lift the hips. Good. And then bend your knees a lot. If you find your down dog, bend your knees a lot. Good. So pulling the knees forward, coming up on the balls of the feet. Good. And then stay on the balls of your feet. Lift your hips nice and high. Now pull your hips all the way up towards the sky. Pull up through your low belly. Squeeze everything in and up from your heels up to your hips. Good. And then soften the heels towards the floor. Let yourself drop down into your hands. Nice. And then again, bend your knees a lot, dropping the knees towards the floor. Pull your hips back. Good. On the balls of your feet. So again, stretch for the ankles as well. And then go ahead and take your hips nice and high again, pulling up through the lowest part of your belly, hips high, heels up. Good. Pull, pull, pull all the way up to that center point. And then soften the heels towards the floor. Let your weight spread wide into your hands. Good. Last time, bend your knees a lot. This time, stay there. Cat-cow your spine in down dog. So with the knees bent, move the spine, inhaling, lifting and lengthening, lifting the chest, exhaling, curling and rounding. Good. And again, if you need to come down to the knees and cat-cow on hands and knees instead of in down dog, that's fine. Try and keep those hips lifted, in line with your knees if you are in down dog. So you're not letting the hips move forward and back. They're staying in place. That's it. Good. And then come back to stillness, please. Again, stretch the hips nice and high, straighten the legs, pull up onto the balls of the feet, pull everything in and up into the pelvis. Good. And then soften the heels towards the floor. Let the arms settle into the chest as you drop your weight into your hands. Nice job. Right foot steps forward between the hands. Good. Take the back heel flat, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Walk both hands inside the front foot. So you're keeping your front knee facing straight ahead. Good. And you're staying in that warrior two position with the legs. Walk your hands just a little bit more towards the left. Good. Yep. So you're walking away from the front shin, but keeping your knee facing straight ahead. Good. So as you keep that thigh moving towards parallel to the floor and you move your shoulders away, a little bit more stretch for the outer hip and thigh. Bend the elbows here. Let yourself drop down a little bit lower. Good. Strong legs. So squeeze the feet towards each other. You got it. And then walk yourself all the way back towards the top of your mat, please. Good. Spin your back heel up so you square your hips, and then squeeze the feet towards each other. Inhale, both arms to the sky, high lunge. Good. Front knee over the front ankle. So really bring it there to that 90 degrees if you can. So let yourself go just a little bit further. Nice job. Good, you guys. Then take your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers, please. Draw the armpits up towards your ears. So sometimes we say to pull the shoulders up and do that, but pull up from your armpits and then hug those upper arms towards each other. Start to straighten the arms. Don't lean forward. Just start to lift the arms up and back behind you just a little bit. So you're really stretching through the arms and the shoulders. Keep your chest up. Good. Long throat. One more breath. Lift those arms just a little higher. Beautiful. And then release the arms back up alongside the ears, lean forward, torso parallels the floor. And then step yourself forward into warrior three. So left thigh comes parallel to the floor, low ribs draw in, keep those arms up, chest up. Good, nice, you guys. Deep breath. And then slowly start to tip forward, letting your hands touch down towards the floor, leg stays lifted, standing split. Good, deep breath in, kick that thigh a little higher. Drop your head, drop your chest. That's it. Really good. And then release, please. Stepping that left foot way back behind you. Right leg steps back as well. Downward facing dog. Good. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Bring the armpits forward over your wrist. Pause. Draw that low rib cage in. Send your inner thighs up. Throat up. Nice. And then come up on the tips of your right fingers. So you're really holding yourself through that left hand. So up on right fingertips, you can separate the feet if you need. Good. And then release the right hand to flat. Come up on your left fingertips. You can always bring the knees to the floor here too, if necessary. Good. And then soften that hand down again. Nice. Lift your hips, press back, downward facing dog. Yeah, it's just reminding you to stay light in the places that tend to get tense. Good. Left foot steps forward between the hands, lunge. Drop your back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Walk both hands inside the front foot. Keep your knee pointing straight ahead, so towards that second or third toe of that front foot. And then walk your hands to the right just a little bit more. Good. So as you start to walk away from the front foot and you widen that left inner knee, again, opening up space in the hip, opening up space in the outer thigh. Good, you guys. Nice. Keep your feet squeezing together so that in theory, if I asked you to take your hands up off the floor here, as your legs could hold you. Good. Nice, Laura. Yep. You can always test yourself. Good. Walk your hands all the way back towards the top of your mat. Please spin your right heel up, square the hips, and then inhale both arms up to the sky, high lunge. Good. Again, letting yourself go towards that parallel front thigh. So let yourself go deep, even if you can't sustain that for very long. Let yourself get there. Feel it. Good. And then take your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers. Same thing, drawing the armpits up, shoulders up. So get long through the side body, hug the upper arms, start to stretch your arms straight back. So without dropping the chest, lift those arms up and back behind you. Again, it's going to be a limited movement. Keep your chest up, keep your collarbones wide. Nice. Your heels of your hands might not still be together. That's okay. Good. One more breath. Really lift the hands a little higher, chest up. Good. And then release, please. Stretching the arms all the way back up alongside your ears. Lean forward. Torso parallels the floor. Step up to warrior three. Right thigh comes parallel. Left hip stacks over left ankle. Good. Reach out from your armpits and from that heel. Nice, Kelly. Good, Anju. Excellent. Start to reach forward and down. Again, tipping your chest forward until your hands find the floor or blocks. Standing split. Right thigh stays lifted. Good. So now it's nice and standing split that you have that full extension on the spine. As you exhale, though, bend your elbows. Let your chest drop a little more and see if that right thigh can go higher because you have dropped the weight of your upper body. So reach through that heel. Lift it higher. Nice. And then go ahead and release, stepping all the way back to a nice long lunge. Plant the hands, come back downward facing dog. Good. Nice, you guys. Slide forward, plank pose, please. Upward push up. And then lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need, all the way down to the belly. Rise up, cobra. Lifting head, neck, and chest, point the toes. Excellent. And then come on down back to your belly, please, forehead to the floor. And come up on your fingertips in your cobra pose. So the same pose, just up on fingertips instead of flat palms. Hug those upper arms in, hug the armpits against the side ribs, and then rise up into cobra again, letting yourself drag back on the hands like you're going to pull your chest forward between the upper arms. Almost that same sensation as when you were trying to lift the arms up and back behind you. Good. And then release all the way back down to your forehead. Take your hands back behind you this time, interlace the fingers at the low spine so you really just get this sensation of working through the back. Good. Again, draw those armpits forward towards the top of your mat. So it's like you're shrugging your shoulders towards your ears, and then draw those upper arms towards the center of your back. Squeeze those armpit muscles towards the center of your back, and then lift up just head, neck, and chest. Keep your feet on the floor. So rise up for what we call like a bound cobra. So as the chest lifts, float those arms up any amount as well. Good. Try to keep the hands clasped behind you if you can. Of course, they can separate if necessary. Good, you guys. One more breath. Armpits pull forward. Nice, Anju. Nice, Joanne. And then release, please. Awesome, you guys. Stretch your arms in front of you. You're crossing your right arm over top of your left. So in front of you, your right arm is crossed in front of your left. You got it. And then you are rolling over onto your left hip. So as you roll onto that left hip, take your right arm back behind you. So you're coming into like a twist. There you go. And then step that right foot forward just a little bit more. So separate the feet a little bit more. There you go. And you're reaching that right arm back behind you. Good. Awesome, you guys. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself back to center, please. So let's try this. Separate your feet while you're on your belly, because I think this is the part that was making the twist not so successful for all of you. So separate your feet a little wider on your belly. Yep. And then take the left arm in front of the right. So that should be the other side. There you go. And then you're leaning onto your right hip. And as you lean onto that hip, you're taking the left arm up and back behind you. Good. Keep those left toes reaching towards that far end of your mat. So you're letting the legs stay split a little bit. Good. So Laura, that top leg should actually be coming in front of you instead of behind you. There you go. Yep. The shoulders go back. The legs stay stacked. There you go. Nice, you guys. Right, the process of feeling or changing the way that we feel about ourselves is not always comfortable, right? That transformative process is not always comfortable. I'm contemplating a lot what happens when your practice doesn't look pretty, doesn't feel pretty. I think those are the moments when being able to tap into that flow of I'm allowed to accept, or I'm able to accept this moment for exactly what it is, uncomfortable and all, imperfect. That's what really gives us the opportunity for our perceptions to change. There's an allowance, there's a permission. Bring yourself all the way back onto your belly, please. Good. Come up onto your forearms, so like a Sphinx pose, elbows are underneath your shoulders. Good, you can separate the hands as wide as your elbows are. Good, and then tuck your toes, please. Look back towards your belly button, so round into your middle back, you press into your forearms, and then lift your hips up off the floor, coming into a forearm plank. Good, so lift the knees, lift the hips, forearm plank. And then once you've lifted the hips and you found that full drawing in of below the belly button all the way up into the middle ribs, then lift the throat again, look slightly forward, drag back on your elbows, feel the collarbones going super wide. Nice. And again, there's that hugging around your armpit area. Good. Those are the muscles that we want to stay really awake for all of these types of arm related positions. Good. Nice, you guys. One more breath, please. Beautiful. And then start to walk your feet forward any amount, lifting your hips. I know you thought you were done, almost. Good. Coming into any version of a forearm dog. Again, it might not feel like it's a deep position yet. A deep breath in, pressing into the forearms. Good. And then walk your feet all the way back to that forearm plank. Good. As you walk your feet back, your collarbones have to lift forward and up. So again, it's that rotation of the arms of the shoulder blades. Good. And then walk your feet forward again. Good. Dropping the head as much as you need, lifting the hips. The knees can bend a little bit, but you want to keep that engagement down through the arms, that you're actually pushing down and out through your hands. but dragging back on the elbows. Good. Walk your feet back into that forearm plank. Lifting the collarbones, widening the chest. Beautiful. And then go ahead, release all the way back down onto the belly. Nice job, you guys. Nice, nice, nice. Good. Pause for a moment and then stretch your arms, reaching back towards your feet. Yep, reaching back towards your feet on your belly. Good. Pressing through the front edge of your pelvis, lift the legs up off of the floor. So extending out through the legs, pressing out through the toes, and then lift head, neck, and chest as well, turning your palms down, locust pose. So again, armpits are pulling forward. So don't get caught up in the how high can I get my feet to go? Because I want you actually to lengthen, like someone's pulling your armpits forward and pulling back on your ankles. Good. One more breath, lift those arms a little higher. There you go. Awesome. And release, please. Plant the hands, come back downward facing dog as you're ready. Good. Right leg comes up and back behind you, down dog split. Come up on the ball of that left foot. So rise up again, pulling everything up and towards the center of the pelvis. Squeeze the heels towards each other, even though that right leg is lifted. Good. And then step the right foot between the hands. Lunge. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Warrior two, cartwheel the arms up this time, taking the shoulders over the hips. Good. And then wrap that right arm around your lower back. So that front arm wraps around your lower spine, reaching for your outer left hip. Lean your right shoulder forward towards the top of your mat. Take the left arm over the ear. So it's like you're doing side angle, but instead of using the right arm to rest on the thigh, it's wrapped behind your back. Good. So draw that low rib cage in again, like you're trying to actually round into your back body, and then twist open just a little bit more, stacking that left shoulder. Really nice. Good, Lynn. Good, Laura. Good. Now keep the left arm where it is. Unwind the right arm. Stretch both arms towards the top of your mat, framing the ears. Turn your left rib cage open even more. That's it. And then start to straighten your right thigh, coming into triangle in this position, still leaning. So still pulling as long as you can. Good. And then let that right hand touch down to find the front leg floor or a block. The left arm goes straight to the sky, Trikonasana, triangle pose. Nice, you guys. Keep the feet squeezing towards each other. Keep that low rib cage drawing back and in. So again, you're working against that place in your back that wants to go into the arch, that wants to go into that restriction. Good. Nice, you guys. Take one more breath, really reaching through the left wrist, rotating rib cage open more. So not forward more, but open more. Excellent. Bend the right knee, please. Release both hands down to the floor. Good. Don't change the back heel yet. Walk your hands to the left again, keeping that front knee pointing straight ahead. Maybe go a little further than you did before. Good. Keeping that knee rotating or pressing wide. So you don't let that right butt cheek pop out to the side. Keep it in line with your ankles. Good. And then again, bend your elbows, drop down to your forearms if that's available, or just stay where you are. And I like this concept of dropping down to the forearms because it really, I think for most of us, brings us to a place in our backs where we have to confront where things are restricted, where things are tight. Good. Walk yourself back up onto your hands. Walk back towards the top of your mat, front of your mat. Spin your left heel up and then step that left foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight Parsvottanasana. Hands can frame the front foot. Use blocks if you need. Good. Drawing the right low belly up and wide. Nice, you guys. It's just you and you. So if we think that, by practicing that we're somehow going to just get rid of those feelings or they're just going to disappear on their own, maybe. More often it's necessary to actually really sit with them before they have the opportunity to become something other than what we're used to them being. And cultivating that state of acceptance is that first step towards really being in a state of contentment, right? Being alone with yourself and content, not looking for anything more or anything less. We think, really, that's all we're aiming for in this practice? Absolutely, that's it. Because if you can do that, then you're free from all of those things that you think are making you miserable. Good. Start to walk your hands towards that baby toe edge of the front foot. Yeah, so both hands towards the baby toe if you can. Just walking yourself in that direction. Good. Keeping the right low belly lifted and wide, drawing the tops of the thighs back. So you're really getting that sense of drawing the lower spine long by pressing into the feet. Good. And then either stay here if this feels like a place that you can stay, and you can keep that left hand pressed down to the floor, or a block. You can anchor that forearm against your shin. Take the right hand to your lower back or to your outer hip crease. Start to turn your rib cage open to the right. Revolve Trikonasana. So if that hand can't comfortably stay on the outside of the ankle, bring it to the inside of the foot. And again, blocks are great. Good. The idea is that you don't lose that extension on your spine. Keep the hips drawing back. Draw that low rib cage in. One more breath. Good. And then slowly release, please. Coming back to center, hands frame the front foot. Step yourself back, downward facing dog. Good. Move through a vinyasa if you'd like, or take a child's pose if you prefer. If you're doing the vinyasa, you're sliding forward to plank, lowering down to your belly or into chaturanga, coming forward into cobra or upward facing dog. Really nice. And then find your way back downward facing dog. Good. Awesome, you guys. Take the left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Come up on the ball of that right foot. So again, you're lifting everything up and in, pull up and squeeze the feet towards each other. So again, you get that strength through the legs and that extra lift through the pelvis. Good. And then step the left foot between the hands, lunge. Nice. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Cartwheel the arms up to warrior two. Shoulders over the hips. Good. So that same feeling as when you had your hands on the floor here, I want that front knee widening just a little bit so that it's staying angled over that second or third toe. Whatever that back hip needs to do to make that happen, let it do that so that you maintain the integrity of that front hip and knee. Good. Take the left arm, wrap it around your lower back. And then, so switch your hands, Kelly. So front hand wraps around the lower back. There you go. And then lean that left shoulder forward and take the right arm over the ear. So it's like a hovering side angle pose. Keep that right rib cage stacking open. Watch that that front knee is not starting to fall in. Move it just a little bit wide. Squeeze your feet towards each other and really pull that right thigh, your back thigh, up and away. Good. So you're actually putting more attention into that back foot. Awesome, you guys. And then keep the right arm where it is. Unwind the left arm. Take it underneath your ear. So both arms reaching forward. Draw your rib cage in. Good. And squeeze those feet and drop that left sit bone under. Awesome. And then start to straighten your left thigh, still reaching forward as much as you can. Start to pull the pelvis up so the legs can come straight. Trikonasana. Good. Let the left hand drop down to the front leg floor or block. Right arm reaches straight to the sky. Good. Don't lose the connection to your feet. Right? This is the premise of the entire yoga practice, is don't lose connection to yourself. And even better than that is don't just not lose connection to what you're doing, but don't lose connection to what you're feeling. Don't lose connection to the possibility that who you've always assumed that you are is maybe that's not all that you are. Right? That's what we cultivate, is this feeling of acceptance so that we can stay connected regardless of what's going on. That our discomfort is not a reason to dislike ourselves, or it's not a reason to dislike ourselves, to dislike our lives. One more breath, pull up through that right wrist so you actually lengthen through your chest more. There you go. Nice, Kelly. Good, Lynn. Nice, Laura. And then bend that left knee, please, releasing the hands down to the floor. Good. Again, keeping that knee pointing towards the second or third toe. Walk your hands to the right just a little bit. So the more you move yourself away towards the center of your mat, of course, the bigger the stretch in the pelvis is going to be. So you can go as far as you want to go, but keep that knee where you want it to be, in line with the ankle, pointing towards second or third toe. And then drop down to the elbows if that's available, or just let the elbows bend to the point that they are able to. Good. Don't let that butt cheek pop out to the side. Yeah, so you got to draw it in, Laura, just a little bit more. Nice, Joanne. Good. You got it, Anju. Awesome, you guys. And then start to come back up onto the hands. Please walk back towards the top of your mat. Spin your right heel up. Step the right foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight. Parsvottanasana. Again, making sure that you have enough room right and left, that your hips are able to be your hips, right? So your feet are not in a tightrope alignment, but they should be as wide as your hips, right and left. Good. So Kelly, I would step your back foot to the right just a little bit more. There you go. Then you're pulling the hips up and back here. That's it. Nice, you guys. Press into your feet. Again, stay connected. The connection doesn't mean that if I connect, then X, Y, and Z is going to happen. It means that being connected means you can actually feel what is happening. By working with that, we open up the space for there to be the perception or the experience of something more. Walk yourself towards the baby toe edge of your front foot. But if we have these expectations that somehow our practice is going to change us in the ways that we want to be changed, or that we think we want to be changed, then we get stuck in that loop of waiting for it to happen. And then we start to feel bad about the feelings that we have because they're not always happy, or they're not always what we think they should be, or they're not changing. So let go of that feeling that your practice needs to be pretty. It does not. Good. And again, if having those hands to the baby toe edge of the foot feels like you can stay there and come into the twist, then stay there. If you need to reset that right hand to the inside of the foot, go ahead and do that. Left hand comes to your lower spine or your outer hip. Start to turn your ribs open. Good. Again, anchoring that right arm either against the shin or really pressing it into the floor so that you have the stability. Good. Draw your ribs in. Twist from your core, from your navel. Good. And from the shoulders, right rib cage tucks under to lift through the left. Beautiful. One more breath. Good. And then go ahead and release the hands back down to the floor. Good. Come back to center. Step yourself back downward facing dog. Nice job. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Good. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Rise up into cobra, lifting head, neck, and chest. Excellent. And then come all the way back down to your belly, please. Good. And then stretch your arms out wide, letter T, so straight from the shoulders. So this is a different shoulder stretch. So you're going to keep that right palm flat to the floor and you're turning onto your right hip. So you're stacking your left hip on top of your right, so that arm is going to stay back behind you. Good. And again, you're in control of how deep that goes. So the top leg here can come slightly forward for balance, or you can step that foot back behind you if that feels like it gives you a little bit more openness through your pelvis. Good. Yeah, and that left hand can be in front of you for balance as well. Good. Breathing through that whole length of your arm into the armpit. Some places that are chronically tight. Good. To be able to sit with sensation without necessarily cataloging it or defining it as having to be positive or negative, but it's just, there's sensation. I like it or I don't like it. Doesn't matter. Right? If we have equal acceptance for both, then we stay in a state where, our perception of ourself doesn't change simply because of the feelings that are moving through. Good. Slowly release, please. So taking both legs back on top of each other, spinning yourself back towards your belly. Good. Give yourself a moment. If you want to come into a Sphinx pose, just to reset the shoulders, you're welcome to do that, pressing the forearms into the floor and lifting the chest. And then go ahead and bring yourself back down if you came there, stretch the arms out wide. And then the left arm or the left hand is staying flat on the floor. You're rolling onto your left hip. Good. And again, taking the right foot either in front of you for balance, or it can step back behind you for a little bit more opening through the hip. The right hand can be in front of you to help stabilize. You and you in your practice. Nowhere else to go. It's a very exciting thing when we do practice and we feel something in us transform, or our state of mind really moves from one place to another. And we're like, yes, I'm capable of feeling a different way than I thought. And then we think that that's what our practice is always supposed to do. It's supposed to get us out of one state and into another one. And in theory, sure, that's what it does. But it's not always the direction that we think it's going to go, or the time that we think it's going to be, or even the state that we think that it's going to be. We go from one state of mind into another. It doesn't matter if it's where you want to be, is can you cultivate the friendliness of you who's transitioning from one place to another, that was in one place and now is in another. And recognize that you haven't gone anywhere at all. It's just you and you. So the greater there is acceptance of the you that is experiencing, the less there is that seeking to get out of something and get into something else. Slowly unwind yourself, bring yourself all the way back onto the belly again. Good. And then bend both knees, forehead to the floor, kick your heels in towards your butt, reach back for the feet or the ankles. If you can't reach for your feet, keep your hands alongside your ribs like you would for Cobra. And you're drawing your heels down towards your sit bones. Keep your thighs rooted to the floor. Keep your heels glued towards your butt. So you're not lifting the legs here. And then you're bending the elbows, lift just head, neck, and chest into frog pose, Bekasana. Good. So drawing the heels down, bending the elbows, again, getting into that feeling of the shoulders and the upper back. Good. Keep the heels down, but lift the heart. Nice. You could do this with your knees on your forearms like that. Anju, just bend the knees and press down and really try and squeeze in. There you go. Awesome. You guys, slowly release, please. Beautiful. Plant the hands, press up to hands and knees. Do a little circling of your hips. So don't press straight back into a child's pose, but move your pelvis. Good. And then go the other way as well. So move your pelvis the opposite direction. Nice. And then go ahead and come to stillness, spread the knees just a little bit wider, drop your hips back to your heels, take a child's pose. Your arms can either be extended in front of you or reaching back for the heels if the shoulders need a little bit of a break. And pressing into the shins, so your child's pose is not just a falling asleep on the floor, but pressing into your shins so that there's energy running up into your outer hips. I'm trying to find that curl into the lowest part of your spine so your hips are really reaching back for your heels. And then relaxing through the shoulders, relaxing through the upper back. Good. And then slowly release, come all the way back up. Grab your block if you have a block. Good. And you're bringing it flat to the floor. So it's wide setting, but flat on the floor. And you're coming into, instead of Sphinx pose with the hands down, is you're coming into your forearms, hugging the block between your forearms. So right below the wrist. So your hands are going to be facing each other, pinky fingers to the floor. Good. So set yourself up there, hugging the block with your forearms. Good. And then again, step your feet back to that forearm plank position, hugging the block with your arms, pressing down through the length of the forearms, all the way from pinky fingers to your elbow. Good. And draw your low rib cage in and up and lift your collarbones forward. Nice. Beautiful, you guys. And then keep that engagement, start to lift the hips again, walk your feet forward, coming into forearm dog or dolphin pose. Good. Keep pressing down through the entire length of your forearms. Nice. And then walk your feet all the way back to forearm plank. Keep that hug of the forearms against the block. Good. Chest up when you find that parallel or level position. Really good. And then walk your feet forward again. Lift the hips nice and high, dropping the head, but keep yourself pressing into the forearm so you keep your arms lifting up, your chest widening. Good. And then take yourself all the way back to forearm plank. I know, so we're building some, strength in the shoulders as well. And then last time, go ahead and walk your feet forward, coming into forearm dog, pressing into the forearm. So you feel that lift of the arms up into the shoulders, and then let your chest go wide. So it's like you're plugging the arms in. So it's going to feel like you're anchoring, you're dropping the heart down as you draw the arms up and in. And then watch that your ribs stay connected to your back. Good. Take one leg up if you'd like. There you go. Pressing into the forearms. Release and switch. Take the other leg up. Good. Staying lifted through the pelvis. So you're not dropping your weight all into your arms. Good. Release that foot, please. And then go ahead, walk the feet back, drop the knees to the floor, come back to child's pose. Good. Maybe bending the elbows wide this time if that feels like a little bit more relief, making a pillow with your hands. Good. Yeah. So just like anything else, we work muscles in order for them to get stronger and more resilient and to work in the way functionally that they are designed to work, which isn't always the way that we have been trained for them to work. So we think that what we're doing is what we want, right? With our habits or our patterns. But it's not necessarily what is best for the joints. And so that transition from the way that I'm used to doing it to the way that is really much more spacious is not always comfortable. We don't like it. Same thing with that mental state, emotional state. Because we think we know what's going to make us happy, but in that attempt to just make ourselves happy is we miss out on actually just being okay with ourselves because we think we should be happy. So can you rewire yourself to look for acceptance instead of happiness? And then see what comes from that. And my suspicion, and the Yoga Sutras say this as well, is that what happens is you end up with contentment. Whatever comes, whatever goes, it no longer defines for you mentally, emotionally, who you are, what you are. Walk yourself back up onto hands and knees. Good. Come back to downward facing dog. And that's the goal of yoga, right? Is to understand yourself as you actually are, not as you imagine you are. Right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Step that foot forward between the hands, lunge. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Cartwheel the arms up to warrior two. Good. And then bring that right forearm onto the front thigh. Take your left arm over the ear, side angle. Good. And then if you'd like, that left arm can reach straight up, turn the palm back, bend the elbow, take the bind with that top arm, reaching around for your outer right hip. And then if you want to go for the full bind, drop that right hand inside your front foot, shoulder drops inside the knee. Slide that arm up underneath that front thigh, reaching for your left fingertips. And then remember, just like in triangle, you have to stack that rib cage open. So keep the feet squeezing towards each other, energy in that back thigh, and then start to rotate the rib cage open. Yeah. And draw the arms into the shoulder socket, hug. Beautiful. Nice, you guys. Unwind the arms, please. Start to straighten that front thigh, transitioning into triangle pose. So the right leg starts to come straight. Right hand finds front leg floor block. Left arm reaches straight up, Trikonasana. Again, squeeze the feet. Feel yourself lifting up through that outer left hip. That's your top hip. Pull that hip up to the sky. Awesome. Really nice, Laura. Nice, Kelly. Nice, Anju. And then bend the right knee, please. Release the hands down to the floor. Good job. Spin your back heel up. And then step or jump switch, your choice. So left foot forward, right leg back. Nice. Very good. Drop that back heel. Baby toe parallels the back of your mat. Good. Warrior two, second side. Take the arms up. Good. And then take the left forearm onto the left thigh. Right arm comes over the ear. Reach. And already here, right, set yourself up well that your rib cage is drawing back. You're really working open through the side body, keeping your left knee just a little bit wide. So front knee, don't let it fall in. Good. And then if you want to take that bind, top arm, turn the palm to face back, reach around to find that outer left hip. So again, stacking the shoulder, stacking the ribs. And then to go for the full bind, drop that left hand down to the floor inside your foot, left shoulder down inside, reach up underneath the thigh to find that hand. And again, you're almost leaning yourself, your shoulder back into that thigh. So you're squeezing the shoulder against the knee and the knee back against the shoulder. And then that right hip, again, lift it up a little higher. So your legs stay powered, right? You're not dropping everything down, but you're lifting. And then left rib cage tucks under, right shoulder pulls back, rib cage draws back. Really good. And then unwind the arms, please. Left hand touches down, right arm to the sky, straighten the left leg, coming back into triangle pose. So Joanne, we're just on the other side, so just switch your feet. Good. Trikonasana. Again, don't let that left butt cheek pop out to the side. Keep it drawing in line with your ankles. Great, Kelly. That was awesome. Perfect. Good. One more breath. Lift that right shoulder higher, lengthen, wide chest. And then bend the left knee, release the hands down to the floor. Good. Spin your back heel up. And then take that left leg up and back behind you to down dog split. All the way up. Good. Nice, you guys. And then bring that left knee forward in wide pigeon pose. So just transitioning right to the next place. Good. So the knee goes wider than your hip. Set the shin, whatever angle is most appropriate. Right hip continues to spin forward, so your pelvic bones are not rolling out of alignment. Good. And then go ahead and walk yourself forward, coming onto the forearms or blocks or fingertips, whatever you'd like to have. Right, there's one of those parables that's, I think it's Buddhist in nature, but I don't know exactly where it originates from. I know the Buddhists use it. The idea is that there's, a man on a boat and he's out, fishing or doing whatever he's doing. And it's a foggy, sort of a foggy day. And as he's out on his boat, he keeps getting bumped by another boat. And he is saying like, hey, pay attention, like I'm here, like don't pay attention. And the boat keeps bumping him. And he keeps getting increasingly angry, increasingly frustrated because he's now like yelling at this other boat, person, like, what are you doing? Pay attention. Like, stop hitting me. What is wrong with you? Pay attention. So he's getting angrier and angrier and angrier. And now he's insulting them and, all of this, that, and the other thing. And finally, he manages to, see inside and finds that the boat that's been bumping him, that's been getting in his way, is an empty boat. There's no one in it. He's just been, letting this emotion, this emotional reality start to get so out of hand, consume him, and there's nothing even there. Right? There's no one to experience that anger except him. Right? And so that parable is used a lot to remember that whatever our emotions that we're throwing out into the world is that it's all empty boats. Right? We're not going to change anybody else by those emotional states, and we're the ones who are ultimately going to potentially be hurt by them the most. You're always alone with yourself. for good or for ill, you're always alone with yourself. So no looking for empty boats to try and take those feelings away, or to give a validation for how that feeling needs to be there. Is simply find acceptance. Right? Instead of the boat that you're interacting with, how about the lake that you're on, the ocean that you're on? Full acceptance, whatever is there. Go ahead, take one more breath. And then walk yourself back up onto your forearms, please. And if you need to come up on fingertips for this, you can. But bend your right knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, reach back, left hand for the foot of the ankle. So a twisting quad stretch. There you go. And again, if being up on your fingertips makes that way more possible, go for that. Good. Again, drawing the shoulder nice and wide. So here, let your rib cage really twist. You're not just reaching back to find the foot, but you're actually really turning your ribs open. And then try and drop that left butt cheek back down towards the floor. Good. And then slowly release, bring it all the way back to center, please. Walk yourself up onto your hands, lift that back knee, and then take the left leg up and back down, dog split. Breathe it in, and then step it down to the floor, please, and set up for the second side. Right leg comes up and back behind you. Good. Bring that knee forward and wide, pigeon pose. The knee goes wider than your hip. Again, setting your pelvic bones so that they are straight ahead, facing straight ahead and in line with each other. It's really easy here when we say to draw that back thigh back to pull the whole hip back with you. So the whole side of your pelvis ends up being out of alignment. So try and actually press into that front shin, scoot your right hip crease back and wide a little bit more. There you go. Resettle those pelvic bones down towards the floor, then come forward onto your elbows or blocks or whatever you're using, so that as your back leg is extended, it's not actually pulling your pelvis out of alignment. Your pelvic bones are still neutral with each other. Good. And again, letting yourself just breathe through sensation. One of my favorite things to remember, that whatever your pigeon pose looks like, is that it doesn't make you a better or worse person, right? How open your hips are. And same thing as it's suggested that as emotions move through is that we acknowledge that they're there, that we're feeling them, that we try not to own them. We try not to go into that place that says, man, I feel anger a lot. I must be this kind of person because I feel anger so much. Empty boats. Remember, you're alone with yourself. And as much as there is that capacity to have that negative interaction with yourself, there's also the possibility that you can be friends with that face you see in your mind. And if friends isn't quite possible, you can at least be neutral. There is nothing outside that is going to change that perception for you. It can only happen from inside. So can you grab that thread, that connection to what you're feeling and add acceptance to it, or bring it into a state where you are accepting what it is that you feel. A couple more deep breaths. Again, don't disconnect. Don't run away. Stay with it. Get re-excited about the sensation in your hips or your back or wherever you're feeling it, wherever you're feeling. Good. And then walk yourself back up onto your forearms or up onto your fingertips, whichever makes the most sense. And you're bending your left knee, take your heel in towards your butt, reach back with the right hand for the foot or the ankle. So the opposite hand, twisting quad stretch. Good. And again, you're really trying to open through the shoulders here. So draw your low rib cage back and in, really stack. So the left rib cage tucks under, right rib cage opens. Nice. Then try and drop that right butt cheek back down to the floor at the same time. There you go. Yeah, nice, Joanne. Nice, Laura. Good, Kelly. And then slowly release, please, both hands down to the floor. Good. Walk yourself back up onto your hands, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, take the left leg up, right leg up and back down, dog split. So front leg comes back. Good. And then step that right foot forward between the hands, lunge. Left foot steps forward to meet it, standing forward fold. Good. Take your hands to your hips, please. Come all the way up to stand. Yeah, I promise your last standing anything. Draw your right heel up towards your right butt cheek. So preparation for dancer pose. So bend your right knee, heel in towards your butt, and then reach back right hand for the foot or the ankle. So your left leg is your standing leg, right knee bends. Good. Right knee bends, taking your heel back towards your butt. There you go. Right hand holds foot. Left arm comes to the sky or hand behind your head, your choice. Again, draw that low rib cage in here. So get super tall, super long through the front of your body first. Good. And then press that head back into your hands. So you already have this feeling of lifting the collarbones, and then start to tilt yourself forward from your pelvis. As your thigh goes back, your chest lifts even more. Good. And let yourself lean forward from that tipping point of your pelvis, keeping the head lifted up into your hand. Nice. Draw that low belly up and in. Good. Thigh goes higher. That's it. And then slowly bring it all the way back up. Nice, Joanne. Awesome, you guys. Release that right foot down to the floor. Plant your feet, bend both knees, drop into chair pose. So separate the feet just a little bit more. Good. Yeah, so it's just a release for the spine. One more breath. Drop your hips even lower and let your knees slide back, hips go back. That's it. Good. And then come all the way back up to stand, please. Dancer pose, second side. So right leg, standing leg, left knee bends. Good. Reach back for the foot or the ankle. Right arm comes to the sky. Good. Or again, hand can be behind your head. So again, get long through the front body first. So keep those ribs drawing in. If you come into this pose, just pushing your ribs forward is you're going to get stuck. So stay with the ribs drawn in, back engaged, and then start to tip forward from your thigh creases, from your pelvis. So it's like you're tipping forward from the place where your thigh meets the groin. Left thigh goes back behind you. Collarbones continue to draw up. Rib cage draws in and up. So you're leaning forward almost like warrior three. So you got to have that same lift of your torso, but you're still working through the open space of your back. Nice, Kelly. Nice, Joanne. Nice, Laura. Good on you. Got it. Awesome. And then slowly bring it all the way back up. Nice. And then step that foot down to the floor, bend both knees, drop back into chair pose, arms up alongside the ears. Good. Take the hands together at heart center, please. Prayer twist, left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Yep, for once we're twisting to the right first. Good. Draw your low belly up off of your thighs. So hollow everything in and then drop your seat a little more. That's it. And then come back to center, please. Don't change the chair, just change the twist. Right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Good. Again, your hips are back behind your heels, moving back behind your heels. Drop your seat. Scoop through that low place of your belly. Try to lift your chest even higher. So drop your hips, lift your heart. Good. And then come back to center, please. Release the hands down to the floor, straighten the legs and bow. Nice job. Separate the feet as wide as your mat. Please turn your toes out 45 degrees, both feet. Bend your knees, come into squat. Stretch your arms straight up to the sky. Don't complain about it, just arms straight up. Good. Yep. So you got to have that pressing into your feet. You've got to have that feeling of squeezing through that low place of your belly, widening of the knees. You got it. One more breath. Nice. Release the hands. Gracefully come on down onto your butt. You got it. Stretch the legs straight out in front of you. Give them a shake if they need. And then inhale the arms up to the sky. Good. Paschimottanasana. Bow forward. Pressing down through the heels, pressing back through your sit bones. Good. So lengthening the legs, not just by pushing out through the feet, but by pressing back. That's it. Love the translation of this pose that, you know, sometimes it says like the Western stretch because you're stretching the what's considered the west side of the body. I've seen it translated as a pose that is meant to prepare the Sushumna, the central spinal channel. For what? Right? For energy to flow, for you to know yourself as you really are, not as you've always assumed. Walk yourself all the way back up. Good. And then scoot yourself forward, come onto your backs. Bend your knees. Good. Or I actually am tempted. I was going to just have you come down to your backs, but I think we actually do have time. If you are willing to throw a headstand into your practice, that would be my suggestion, is headstand. So if you are a headstander, do that. If headstand is not in your vocabulary today, then coming onto your back and coming into shoulder stand, perfect alternative. And if you are cooked and you're like, no way, Jose, you can place a block underneath your sacrum, coming into a supported bridge pose or taking the legs up to the sky with that block underneath you. Good. So again, headstand is my suggestion if that is available. If not, shoulder stand. If not, supported bridge. Good. Nice, you guys. Yeah, so keeping yourself connected, any inversion that you are doing is you have to pay attention to your base, and whether you're in shoulder stand or you are in headstand, they both require you to really stabilize the shoulder girdle. So part of that is pressing down into the hands or into the forearms. Requires you to continue to draw the low rib cage in and up. So again, you're taking the weight away from the floor, even as you are pressing into the floor to stabilize. And the more you move through your core, the more there's actually an engagement of the back muscles around the shoulder blades, helps to keep them where they are meant to be. Good. And stay with your breath, stay connected. And bringing the thought that there is a full acceptance to whatever your pose is today and whatever your poses are not today. Whatever your feelings are and whatever they are not. That there is no one else who is looking or categorizing this experience that you're having but you. It's just you and you in there. Good. If you are in shoulder stand, you want to take your legs into plow, letting the toes come to the floor above the top of your head. If you're in headstand, you want to super challenge yourself, bring your legs straight parallel to the floor. Good. I like that transition too, Kelly. That was a good one. Good. If you are in plow, take another breath or two. If you've come out of your inversion, you want to take a child's pose or sit in Virasana, do that. And with your next couple of breaths, if you are in plow, slowly bring yourself back up into shoulder stand, or you can roll straight out of the pose from plow. It's up to you. If you're coming back up into shoulder stand, pause there for a moment. And then consciously start to roll down the spine one vertebra at a time. As your hips start to come towards the floor, bend your knees, draw them in towards your chest as you release completely onto your back. There you go. Nice. Good, you guys. And then if you are not currently on your back, find your way there. You got it. And draw the right knee in towards your chest, please. Hug, hug, hug. Good. Bring that knee across your body, spinal twist. So the knee comes across over to the left, reaching out through that right arm. Good. And then that left leg that is extended down towards the bottom of your mat, bend the knee, kick your heel up towards your butt, reach back for the foot or the ankle. So you're taking a quad stretch while the top knee is still twisting. Good. And again, if reaching the foot is not a possibility, no worries. You can still bend the knee, draw the thigh back, feel stretch there, but you don't have to hold the foot. You can also leave that part out if it makes sense to leave it out. Good. Slowly release the foot, please, from the quad stretch. Bring yourself all the way back to center, hugging the right knee in towards your chest. Good. Bring your forehead up to meet that knee. So round into your rib cage. Again, pressing down to that low part of your right side sacrum. That's it. Good. And then release, please. Sending the right leg down to the floor. Bring the left knee in towards your chest. Good. Take it across the body, spinal twist. Reaching the left arm wide or up alongside your ear. Good. And you can bend your right knee as well. Take your heel in towards your butt. Reach down for the foot or the ankle. Good. Or again, don't reach for the foot or the ankle. Nice. That performance aspect of our practice, that somehow by doing the poses, by doing the techniques, by doing the things, we are going to get a result. You will get many results. They may not be what you expected or what you asked for or what you wanted or what you think makes you happy. Accept it all. And if we aim for that open space of acceptance, then there's room for us to be whatever it is that we are. We don't have to limit ourselves to, I should be happy, and I then have to dislike anything that feels like it's not what happy is. Acceptance brings us to contentment. Contentment is where everything comes and everything goes. And we are not then defining ourselves by what's there and what isn't there. Slowly release, please. Unwind that quad stretch. Come back from your twist. Hug the left knee in towards your chest. Good. Bring your forehead up to meet the knee. Again, rounding, getting into that hollowing of your belly, pressing down through the left side sacrum. Good. And then release the shoulders, please. Bring the right knee in alongside your left, so both knees squeeze in. Good. Come into happy baby. Draw the knees wide. Reach for your ankles or your feet. Good. Keep your heels drawn in just a little bit narrower than your knees. Your knees are the widest part of your pose. Good. And then release, hugging the knees in towards the chest. One more time, squeeze your forehead up towards your knees, curl into a ball, curl into yourself, hollow the belly. And then slowly release, extending the legs out in front of you, arms alongside you. Settle yourself for your Shavasana, using whatever you need. Maybe coming back to this practice of seeing a mirror image of yourself, your perception of you, all of your flaws, all of the things that you like and you dislike. And can you practice extending that friendliness to that image? Allowing it to flow from you to you, just circulating. And if not quite friendliness, you can substitute the word acceptance. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath. Let your body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw the knees in towards your chest, roll to your right side. And take a moment before you begin to push the floor away, coming back to an upright seated position. And bringing your hands together at the heart center, palm to palm. And again, just letting yourself take in the scenery inside, what's actually there, how you actually feel. And it doesn't matter if it feels better or worse than how you started. All you're looking for is, can I stay connected to what's going on? Can I stay connected to what's there? Instead of looking outside for how I should feel, can I feel how I actually feel? Instead of looking outside to figure out who I should be, can I discover who I actually am? Even though that might be uncomfortable because I don't know how that will look, if I'll be happy or not. So instead of seeking happiness, we start to seek that feeling of acceptance, that feeling of contentment. And that often comes with building that relationship with just you. It's just you in there. So you build the relationship with that image of yourself in your mind to be one that's friendly. Start with neutral if friendly is too much, but move in that direction of, can I accept and appreciate, accept, and love what's here so that I never need to run to be somewhere else. And that's that state of inner peace, is there's nowhere to run because I'm always just me within me. So come home and find the acceptance, find the love that exists here, now, this minute, with this self. So I always say namaste. I acknowledge that within this self, there is a bright light. And within yourself, there is too. So let's do our best to see it in each other and in our own minds. Close with the sound of Om, deep breath. Om. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night, great rest of your week until I see you again. Subbing Linda's class starts at 6. So if you want to go get a snack and then come back, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I will see you soon.
Thank you. That was lovely. That was really nice.
Good.
I love the whole, what you've discussed the whole time too. It was really lovely. Thank you.
Yeah. Good.